Hey, hey, hey. Welcome back. In this video, I wanted to just share my reflections from Raleigh-Durham Startup Week. I went last week and I had a few things that I went there for. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about some reflections that I had from the talks that I went to, and maybe some suggestions to help you if you are entering a networking space or entering these spaces where there's VCs and things like that, to get the most out of it. So if you're new here, my name is Abriana. I'm a brand strategist, a brand consultant, and I work with leaders and teams to figure out who they are, the business, how they want to operate, and how they want people to experience them. So I am a former brand and web designer who was tired of building brands that did not have operational excellence. So I do operate at that kind of intersection of brand, operations, and experience to make sure the business has some brand alignment. So you heard all that. If you watch any of my other videos, I haven't really gone that much into depth in the intro on like what Black Unicorn Creative is. And I want to start by saying that my goal going into Raleigh-Durham Startup Week was to practice my messaging and to gauge the responses that people had from what I said. And so Raleigh-Durham Startup Week is Monday through Friday. They have multiple sessions. It's all free to attend, but they have multiple sessions throughout the week all over the triangle, and it was hosted, or you could register for them on Luma, L-U-M-A, Luma. And so you could see the event as a whole, but then you could also see all of the sessions and who was hosting them, where they were. You could register for each one that you wanted to attend. So I didn't attend a lot. I attended the first annual Bad Idea Pitch Competition, which was basically a startup comedy show. It was so good. It was hosted by, or one of the hosts was a friend of mine, and it was a great time. It really was. And it was a great way to start off the week, you know, not taking ourselves too seriously, not taking everybody else too seriously, but also still having some really cool conversations about what is fundable, what is able to be backed, and how we define problems and then connect solutions to it that may or may not be fundable. So that was a highlight of that week. I want to say that was like a Tuesday night, because then I attended a large chunk of the day on Thursday. I attended so much that I even got a parking ticket. Anyway, I still need to handle that. But I went to several talks on product, or they had different tracks. So I did a couple in the product track, sales track, revenue track. And I have my notes here because I am very much a paper note gal. Unless I know that I want to get like a whole lot of the goods, and I just needed to, well, I will say the Friday when I went, I took notes on my iPad because I didn't want to take as much, I didn't want to take my whole bag with my notebooks, and I just took my iPad because I knew I was attending one session. So anyway, on Thursday, I attended one of the keynotes, which was by Cindy Eckert of Sprout Pharmaceuticals, and she is the CEO of the company that is making the pink pill, or Viagra for women. And she's right here in Raleigh. And I say right here, I'm 30 minutes away from Raleigh, okay? But basically she's in the triangle, And she said that, you know, Silicon Valley doesn't have to have everything. We have a technology and a biotech hub right here in North Carolina. So it makes perfect sense to build right here in North Carolina. And a couple notes that I took from her conversation is that it was her position to not have to create demand. Their demand was already there and the market was not being served. So the women that I think she said she had 15,000 women in her clinical trial. The demand was already there and there was not a single competitor in the market. The competition was no action against, you know, challenges with women's libidos. And I thought that was fascinating. She said that there is no playbook for creating a category, and her resilience came from following her true north. And I think that as a strategist, as I am thinking and guiding my clients through, you know, who are you? What got you here? What is that founder story? What is the change that you saw that made you say, I actually have to risk it all to make something different in this world because this problem needs solving? And taking that and understanding your mindset there and understanding how you got to where you are, we can start pulling some of those values, some of that story to really help people connect with the mission and connect with the story and start to create some associations in their mind of why they should choose you over someone else. She said that oftentimes when we're trying to craft and manufacture a story, we're losing the plot. And I think yes and no. I think the difference there is intention, right? Because some people will ramble forever and they've told you something, but you're not quite sure what you're supposed to get with it. And I think that's a lot of where marketing is for businesses nowadays. They're saying something, but you're not sure what you're supposed to get from that or what association you're supposed to make. So I think there is a middle ground to say, okay, this is the story. What do we want the outcome to be? What do we want to get from this story? Knowing that that's what we want to get from this story, how can we pull out the most important parts that invite people to come deeper into the lore, deeper into why, and start creating the associations that get us to that outcome? There was a question about, I guess, confidence and how to get VCs or people who are going to support the business to pick up what you're putting down, basically. And she said that people will borrow your fear. When you go into a room and you show fear of success, fear of failure, fear of not being believed, people will borrow that fear. And I think that's why a lot of times you hear VCs or investors say, I invest in the person, not the product. Because that product might not be the one that takes off, or that business might not be the one that takes off, but it's the kind of person that is willing to create something out of nothing and willing to risk it all and willing to be embarrassed and willing to be heard no, or be told no, that founders are investing in. So I really liked hearing that. And one of the last things that she said that really stood out to me, she was talking about hiring decisions. Hopefully You can't hear the wind chimes. She was talking about hiring decisions, and she said that she looks through a lens of their values for hiring decisions. And y'all know that that was right up my alley, okay? Because that is what I preach all the time. If you don't know your values, they cannot be the thread that is woven throughout your entire business. If you do not have a lens in which to categorize, or a rubric in which to follow, oh, okay, hold on one second. Let me let my dogs in the house. Come on, guys. Go inside. There you go. Knew that would happen. If you do not have a lens in which to look through every decision you're making in your business, you're going to end up somewhere that you did not think you would be. And so she said that in her hiring decision, she wants people to be bold, have an owner mentality, be quirky, have a spirit of learning and lean into curiosity, be family oriented, and simply be appreciative. And so if she cannot see that in you as someone who is being interviewed as a candidate, then you're not the one for their team. And her knowing that and being able to be upfront about that, and to offer some consistency in the hiring decisions. I'm sure there are more detailed requirements, but it is those values in which bring you people who are a better fit to be a part of your team than who are not. And so how do you get to those values? It is experimental. Oftentimes you can start one way and have to make some changes because you realize, either that's not landing or that's not really getting me what I want. That this idea that I had is not actualizing in real life. And I just appreciated her sharing that. Now, I got more notes on her. I'm gonna have to talk about that in a different video. But I also went to a session on vibe coding, and this was by Asker Patel, or AP. He is a product manager at Airtable, which I love. He basically walked us through vibe coding, and I created something that I haven't finished with it, but I think I want to like build it out, and just really for personal reasons. But I was creating a tool to help me ease into my day, something that can capture my morning routine so that I have less decision fatigue as a founder. So yes, you're going to tell me what I need to do today, what's come through my email, what are some of the priorities, but I also want you to make sure that I have some movement, make sure that I have some time for mindfulness. If I'm feeling led to journal, I can set a timer for that. So I just wanted something that was less of a dashboard. I don't want to look at a dashboard when I first wake up, right? But having to, I got dogs. I need to let the dogs out, feed the dogs, incorporate some movement, and just offering me a simple cadence to ease into my day by a certain time. And I can just, check off the things that I have done. So that's a little personal project that I'm working on. I'll keep you updated on that as that evolves. I went to a session on sales conversations and sales mindset, and off the bat, Chelsea Bullock, she works at Atlassian. She started talking about having a research mindset, and I don't know how much I've shared of this before, but I'm a scientist, okay? My degree was in animal science. My master's was in health science. Me and the scientific method go together real bad. So I look at strategy as a hypothesis, right? The strategy is not the plan. The strategy is the belief about the conditions we are in right now. It is the hypothesis. And the plan is the methods. Our resources are the materials, right? She talks about how, when you go into sales conversations, you should have a research mindset? What are you looking to get out of this conversation? Are you trying to figure out how your messaging lands? Are you trying to figure out what the needs of the customer are? Are you trying to figure out what words they're using to describe the problem that you're hoping that you solve? What are you going in there asking yourself? And then that you should spend 80% of the time listening and set that intention. There are certain signals that come up in conversation that you should be taking notes on. Like, what have they done already? Who are they watching? Are they looking at you and other competitors? What are they feeling? And who is the decision maker? Those are just some of those signals. And then she said that energy follows emotion, but so does attention and budget. So once you can surface the emotion that has come up for them and speak about your product as a solution to that emotion, say there's frustration, exhaustion, blah, 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 then you can position your product to be a solution for them, for that. So yeah, that was, you know, it wasn't anything groundbreaking, just kind of confirmation of things that I already believed about sales conversations. And I just appreciated her perspective coming from a company that is doing enterprise sales. The last person that I went to see was on Friday, which was Amanda Sabria, and she talked about how to make brands scale. I appreciate Amanda's perspective. I've been following her online for a few months now, and I just appreciated the consistency in her messaging and the confirmation of some of the things that I've been telling to my clients and working with my clients on. And so I'm going to talk about in a different video that keynote and what I got from that, because that was like brand strategy candy and I'm just here for it. So Raleigh-Durham Startup Week, when you, like I said at the beginning of the video, decide what you're going into, what you want going into these events. I wanted to practice my messaging. I wanted to understand what messaging other people were using to describe similar things, things that I was, similar things to what I am doing. I wanted to understand how founders describe their problems and also what questions people asked to the speakers, because oftentimes people won't describe their problems necessarily in environments like that, especially if you don't know if you're talking to a venture capitalist or not. You know, you have to get to know someone. So there's so many people, it takes a while to get to the crux. Like, okay, who are you? Why are you here? What do you want from this place? Kind of thing. So I just listen to the questions people ask to say, okay, oh, that was kind of the third thing I was looking for, because as I toy with these frameworks and who they can help, you know, deciding who my newer target audience or this like ideal client profile, if you will, deciding who that is, that's kind of the space that I'm in right now. And I needed to understand the questions they were asking to understand their mindset around how brand shows up in the building of their startups. So, yeah, that was one of the things that came out of that first keynote. Was some of the questions people asked her was how to build credibility, how do you get out of the way of the vulnerability of your own truth, and overcoming the desire to give up. Those are some of the, that's not all of it, but it really made me think, like, okay, as a brand strategist, when I'm doing my messaging and doing these videos, it is very easy for me as a scientist to get to the tactics. And none of the questions people asked were tactical questions, right? It was more so about confidence and conviction and beliefs, which I know that mentally, but it feels good to me to get off these tactical things, right? And so the messaging that I was playing with was, you know, not only am I a brand consultant, but I also offer these novel leadership development experiences. And I realized that leadership development is not something that is invested in startup space, right? Especially not in the beginning. And if you didn't come from someone or an organization, or if you don't have a lot of experience in your career, if you don't have that longevity, if you're not in a corporate environment where they're already investing in those things, you're just not getting it. You're not getting the development of self in the changing identity, the identity shifts that have to happen for you to continue to create after rejection, and then continue to pursue and support the dream that you have. There is no professional development outside of the experience, right? So that was interesting to me. And as I think of the development of my business and the strategic partnerships that I want to invest in, that signals, okay, there's an opportunity to create a pathway for that personal professional development that creates stronger founders. So that is an option for me to explore. So yeah, Raleigh-Durham Startup Week was great. I'm excited to learn more about the startup ecosystem in the Triangle area. I grew up here, but with most of my life being spent headed to professional school, I just was not in the ecosystem, you know? So yeah, I can't wait to learn more about business in the Triangle area. And I highly suggest that you attend Raleigh-Durham Startup Week in 2027 and support Raleigh-Durham-Startup.co. I believe that's their website, to learn about some of the things that they're doing throughout the year. It's not just this 1 week in April, but they do programming throughout the year. So head to their website to learn more about that. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.